What's up, YouTubers? It's me, Johnny. I'm just getting my mic set up. Anyhow, I hope my viewers are having a great week. I've been in Phoenix, 3 weeks now, I think. I'm having some Oktoberfest Amber Marzen made by Sierra Nevada. Now, I'm not sure why they had this at the grocery store because it ain't October. I thought it was on sale for like $8 or $9. It was $12. So basically, this comes out to $2 a can. Call me a Tacaño, but that seems kind of expensive. Anyways, I hope wherever you are in the world, you're having a great day. I'm going to have a drink. Yeah, that's good. That's good beer. Anyways, there's a lot going on in the news. I haven't been making videos lately. Hold on, I got to readjust this. Not much to say, I don't think. That's why I don't make videos as much anymore. There's a war going on. I don't know really what's going on or what the truth is of the matter. There's a lot of... This war is like the COVID crisis I think are finished with. When I say finished, I mean as far as the powers that be. We may have COVID for the rest of our lifetimes, but we won't shut our societies down. But it appears to me we might shut our societies down based on this war. Anyways, that's my point, that there's a lot going on as far as lockdowns go and traveling. I think things are opening up, but I don't know how much well, they're opening up, but I'm not sure we're really going back to the way it used to be. I don't think we are. Anyways, I just want to talk about, with the war, there's a lot of airspace, as far as I understand, where planes cannot go now, so airlines may be raising their prices. There's also high rates of inflation right now, which I think are going to start declining. Not go to zero, I just mean decline, like disinflation, not deflation, disinflation. Just so that's out there. Here's what I've been thinking about and I've been seeing. That's not a good look either. Anyways, here's what I've been seeing. Just as an example, a couple days ago, not Rebel Capitalist, the other channel I watch, Nomad Capitalist, he put a pretty good video out that kind of aligns with what I've been saying for a long time. If you want to retire, live, work, and play overseas, it's going to get much, much more difficult. Not because of this war with Russia, but because, I think it's just a culmination of many things happening over the last 20 years. That now the war has triggered some reactions in Europe. What I mean is, Nomad Capitalists and I have been saying the EU and the United States are going to make it difficult for average people to get a second passport or residency. I always get pushback on that. Provide a link, do this, do that. Well, the EU now is saying they want to take away... They made a law, apparently, a law that's going to be difficult to be enforced. I'll just put that out there. But they made a law saying that the EU wants to get rid of all investor type passports that you can get. That doesn't mean they're going to make a law like if you marry someone you can't become a citizen or gain a residency. But I'm just saying it's starting. It's going to start with this, and eventually it's going to get to the point where I don't know that you'll be able to just easily move, even get married and get residency anywhere. I think there will always be places you can do that, but it's going to get tougher if you want a lot of choices. So my understanding of this new law is the EU is going to put pressure on all countries inside the EU to get rid of their investor-type passport services and programs, from Austria to, there's quite a few of them. I'm thinking of Austria, and I'm thinking of that island off of Europe. I can't think of it's not coming to mind, but one of the most expensive ones is it's $1 million, and it's not Monaco. It's that island. Anyways, those countries like that and like Austria used to be, if you invested $80,000 or $90,000, you get a passport in Austria. And from what I gather, from what I've seen online, I don't even think most people even understand that or realize that's how easy it used to be. You could invest $80,000 in Austria and pretty much get a passport. I mean, they still have that program, but it's a lot more expensive. And that's really the focus of what I want to say tonight is the world is starting to close down. I think we're going to be living in a world where you're going to have to live in a region. You'll be able to travel easily, or at least not with too much difficulty in that region. There's more and more. See, that's the thing. There's countries opening up in the sense that they're giving what some people are calling nomad visas. Like if you want to live there a year, you can't become a citizen or anything, but you can live there a year. So that is happening. But there's also countries making it harder for tourists to come in. So there's both things are happening at the same time. So I don't want to give the impression that all is lost. But as far as all the choices you used to have, a lot of that's going to be gone. So you're going to have to be flexible and live in countries that are open to your whatever passport you're traveling on. And I think it's going to get more difficult for people to do the perpetual tourist thing, like what I like, to just not gain residency but live in different countries. So you're going to see more and more people apply for residency, which, as an example, Guatemala used to be super easy. Now it's very difficult. There's a lot of countries that are going to make it more difficult by not just raising the fees, but raising the requirements. So let me just talk about that for a minute. One of the easiest places to get a residency is Paraguay. Paraguay is like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, maybe as long as 10. You could just deposit $5,000 and get a background check, an FBI. Now it's an FBI background check and a few other things, a health test, and basically get not citizenship but a residency there. And you only really had to visit there once every 3 years to have it in good standing. And the lawyers for that service, if you didn't do it yourself, the lawyers would charge between $1,500 to $2,500. There's a few outliers charging like $3,000 to provide this service for you. Well, now if you go online, you look at all the usual suspects, kind of the blue chip law firms doing this. It's about $5,000, it's $4,000 to $5,000. I'm not claiming you can't do it cheaper. I'm not saying that, but the blue chip type firms are doing it for like $5,000. So just the lawyer part is getting to be more and more expensive. As far as the $5,000 deposit, because of the exchange rate, it's really only about $4,500 because the dollar has been really strong recently. Now here's a few more things. Because of COVID and now because of the war, I mean, it was never really easy to fly into Paraguay. You usually flew into Argentina or Brazil, I think. The other thing is, because of COVID, well, not because of COVID, but it used to be before COVID, you had to get a visa. You had to set this up so you got a special visa to fly into. I'm really confused. Not really confused, but I'm not up to date on what the rules are, because I'm going to tell you something. Almost everything you read online about residency and a lot of other things is just not true. And there's true stuff, but untrue stuff. So when I was going to do it, it used to be you had to get a visa to fly in there. I don't know if that's the case now, but some nationalities still need to get a special visa if you're going to apply for the residency. And it used to be you could just go to an embassy wherever you were. Like if I was in Mexico, I could just go to the Paraguayan embassy in Mexico. Or if I was in Peru, I could just go to Peru and do it. Because of COVID, because of the war, now they want you to do all this from your home country. So you got to fly back to your home country. If you're from Korea, you got to fly to Korea. If you're from the States, you got to fly back to the States and do all that. So in that sense, it's more expensive in that you got to do a lot of more planning. But you can still find these fixers and law firms that will do it for, I would say, $2,000 or $3,000, maybe at the low end. I still think there's a few at the lower than that, but I haven't done my research, so I don't want to say too much. But the more money you're willing to spend, those firms will arrange everything so you can fly down there within a week or two and get everything done. If you do it yourself, which you can do, there's one part of the process that's very difficult to do that no one really talks about, and that's proving your address down there, because most places that rent to you won't rent to you without a 6-month lease. So then you're going to be there 6 months before you can get the document. That's what there's a lot of stuff that if you don't do your homework, you won't realize that till you're down there, and then you realize, oh, I got to rent for 6 months. Anyways, that's most places, not all. But the lawyers and the fixers can arrange it so you can get that document no problem, and you can get your health document, you can get your police checks and all that. Now, when I say police checks, you have to get police checks down there and from your home country. But basically, if you have a week or two, you can get it done in a week or two, if everything goes right, which in Latin America never does. And then you usually wait 6 months to 2 years to get your actual ID. I want to make a point about that. Now, I actually know people personally who've actually done it, so I kind of know, well, I'm just aware of certain things that are going on. It used to be you got your documents pretty fast, like within 3 to 6 months. There's now such a volume of people applying from all over the world, from the Middle East, from Asian countries, from first world countries in Europe, and from North America, Canadians and Americans. It's also Brazilians too. There are so many people trying to get in there now that my understanding is you could wait 6 months to a year before you can legally live there, from my understanding, but you won't get actual IDs for a while. Anyhow, I only point this out. Paraguay is not the country most people are going to, so if they're getting this much interest from people wanting to leave Europe and North America, that's just, and Asia, even Asians are flooding in. I said Koreans before because I know there's Koreans flooding in, not just Koreans, but that's just one example of people. They can't get into the States, so they try to get into South America or Central America before they transfer to the U.S., if that's their ultimate goal. Anyways, just a few thoughts on what's going on right now. It's going to get more and more difficult to get residency. I think some countries may make it easier for retirees, some may make it harder, I don't know. But the easy stuff we used to could do, I don't think it's going to be an option as much anymore. It's going away. But if you're really flexible, you'll find a way. And I just think the way the world's going, you're going to mostly be earning your money online. So you might as well live somewhere in the States or somewhere in the world that you actually like living in and earn enough to get by. Because I've been in the States 3 weeks, and I'm not a hater of the U.S. I think the U.S. is one of the finer countries to actually live in because we have so many options. If you don't like paying tax, go to a high income tax state, to a low income tax state. If you don't want to pay any tax, go to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is really not the only place. That's the one that's talked about a lot. But there's Samoa, and then there's, I don't want to say you don't pay any tax there, but there's Saipan. Most people don't realize in Saipan you can get your taxes down really low there too. Not to mention the islands for Americans. So I just putting that out there. I don't claim you pay zero, but very little if you structure your assets and your income streams properly. For a lot of the viewers, they don't really care about that. But I'm just putting it out there. If you want to live within the U.S. sphere, U.S. law and all that, you can, like even in Saipan, you don't even need a visa. You just fly there. Now, this is before COVID. Now, with COVID, they have, I think, a few special rules where you maybe have to show a COVID test. But, I mean, you don't need a passport or nothing. But I think now, from what my friend told me, they don't have direct flights anymore, so you might need a passport to fly in from another country. Then that country, is not part of the U.S., so you might have to do that. I need to be careful when I say these things, but he flew out when there were still direct flights. I don't know, you flew to Hawaii, I think, and then you flew right in. Now, with all the chaos going on, I don't think you can fly in. You have to fly to another country to fly into that part of the world, Saipan, which is part of the U.S., whatever you want to call it, empire. So there's places within the U.S. that people don't talk about that you can move to, but fitting in might be difficult. Rents, generally speaking, in Saipan and places like that are higher. Micronesia, I'm talking about, just in case the viewers don't know. And usually if you're an Anglo, you're not always welcome, but even that, it kind of depends. There's Hawaii, then you're definitely part of the U.S., but taxes are pretty high there. But other than that, it's a great place to live. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. I'm going to upload this video. Anyways, thank you to all the new subscribers. I don't really feel like I have a lot to say anymore online. There's just so much disinformation. I figure my expertise or my knowledge is about living in other countries and living cheaply and things like that, banking overseas, investing overseas. But it's getting harder and harder to do, and there's so much misinformation out there just in general about COVID, about the war, just about everything in general, that it's hard to overcome all the noise and put good content out there that people actually can use. And I would also say it's hard for me to even know unless I'm boots on the ground, because there's just so much nonsense going on with all these influencers getting paid by various governments to say things that are not actually true. And people think it's true. They make decisions based on it, and then they're in really bad situation when they implement what they want to do. Anyways, if you have any comments about that, if you've experienced that, let me know. Leave it a comment, because it's getting to the point now where I actually think you have to fly to a country, do as much research as you can, and then see what really is going on, because there's just so much misinformation out there. One more thing. I have recently heard Guatemala changed their entrance requirements, that you can get in the country now just with a test. You don't need to have the vaccine. I would just say that's always changing. I don't know. Like, I don't need to have a test. Just like I was told I needed a test to come back to the States. I came across the border. They didn't ask me for nothing. That's why I keep saying the choke points for a lot of this stuff is through the airlines, where like they will ask you for the test. They won't let you on their plane. It's not so much the government doing this. Well, it's the government putting it on the corporations to kind of be the slave driver, so to speak, and implement all these things. Because I know, I won't say too much. I know people coming across the border like me, overland, there's no test. But I also know people flying in who use so-called loopholes. Anyways, they don't have no COVID test and vaccines, and they get in. But I don't want to get into that, because I wouldn't wish any hassle on any of my viewers. You should try to comply with the rules if you can live with it. But some of the people I do know are coming even on the airlines without that. And not very many people talking about it. That's why I don't really want to talk about it. But then you got to be willing to put up with all the hassles of doing that. I'm not willing to do that. I got the cards and all that, but I like traveling overland, because then they never even ask you. Just like the last time I came into Guatemala, they didn't even ask. Like, bro, just go. Just go. They don't even ask you for none of that. But I'd hate to tell someone that, and then they travel overland, and then they get asked for it. I know what I would do in that situation, because I'm not going to be deterred from going where I want to go. But a lot of people are not used to dealing with how things are in the developing world. And when you tell or explain how things are, they get a little bit uptight about it. Anyways, that's it for now. Like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. Tell me what you think.